It was her first day. Emma Carter clutched her tote bag like a lifeline, her ID badge still stiff around her neck. She had barely made it through the revolving glass doors of Stratton & Chase, multi-million-dollar consulting firm in the heart of Manhattan before she felt like she was drowning. At 5'3", with a nervous stammer and second-hand shoes too big for her feet, she didn't look like she belonged in a place with crystal chandeliers and glass elevators. And maybe she didn't, because less than an hour into her internship, Emma accidentally did something unthinkable. She sat at the VIP table. Emma hadn't meant to cause a scene. In fact, she avoided scenes like her life depended on it. But the employee welcome luncheon was held in the executive lounge, and the only table that wasn't crowded was near the window, tucked quietly away from the buffet line. To Emma, it looked like the one place she could eat in peace. So she sat, alone, nervous, still replaying how she spilled her coffee in the elevator. Just 30 minutes ago. That's when he sat down across from her, a man in his early 40s. Quiet confidence, no name badge, navy suit. Kind eyes, though faintly amused. He offered a nod, then picked up a glass of water. Emma panicked. I'm sorry, is this your table? The man shrugged. I sit where I like. Emma gave a nervous laugh. Honestly, I was hoping for a quiet spot. It's been a lot. You just started. She nodded. Internship. First day, Emma. He extended his hand, casually. Nice to meet you, Emma. She shook it. You. He smiled. David. Just David. No last name. No title. Emma assumed he was maybe a finance director or upper management, but then she made the mistake. The one that would echo in ways she never expected. Emma leaned in, whispering like she was already breaking some unspoken company rule. So. I've heard rumors about the CEO. Apparently he's cold, distant, doesn't even speak to interns. People say he once fired a guy for sneezing during a client call. Crazy, right? David sipped his water slowly. She went on, oblivious. I mean, you'd think someone running a company like this would. I don't know. Remember what it's like starting out. Everyone's so scared of him, like he's some ghost. There was a pause. A long one, then David grinned. Well, maybe he's just misunderstood. Emma blushed. I'm sorry, I shouldn't gossip. You probably know him. I've heard of him? Another smile. Then he stood up, adjusted his sleeves, and said, It was lovely talking with you, Emma. Good luck today. And just like that, he was gone. It wasn't until an hour later, when her manager gave a grand tour of the executive floor, that Emma saw the portrait on the wall, the founder, the CEO, and her heart dropped, because standing tall in that black and white frame, the same navy suit, the same amused expression, was David Stratton, the man she'd just gossiped about over lunch. Emma wanted to disappear. She couldn't sleep that night. What if he told HR? What if this internship, her only chance out of student debt and into a real job, was over before it began? But the next morning, something strange happened. There was a note on her desk. Just 5 words. Handwritten in smooth penmanship. Ghosts. Listen more than you think. DS. She stared at it for minutes. He remembered. He'd heard, and he wasn't angry. Later that week, she was assigned to shadow the CEO's assistant for a day. The assistant was unexpectedly called out, and Emma found herself alone. Near the top floor, suddenly, David Stratton appeared again. You're not in trouble, he said, reading her expression. I'm sorry, I was rude. It was just nerves. And I know, he interrupted gently. Everyone's afraid of titles, but no one bothers to talk. You did? That's rare. She blinked. You're not mad? He smiled. Emma, people spend years here without speaking their minds. You did on day 1. That's something I admire. In the weeks that followed, Emma quietly flourished. David never treated her like an intern again. He asked for her opinion during meetings. Let her sit in on strategy calls. And one day, he pulled her aside with a strange request. I want you to help review our outreach program. We're launching a mentorship initiative for inner-city students. You came from that kind of background, right? Emma nodded slowly. No one here had asked before. My mom worked 2 jobs. I studied by streetlight sometimes. No one ever mentored me. David nodded. Then you'll know better than anyone what they need. The more time she spent with David Stratton, the more she saw past the stories. He wasn't cold. He was just reserved, sharpened, quietly observant, and deeply kind. One night, when Emma stayed late prepping files, she heard someone coughing in the hallway. It was one of the janitors, Mrs. Alvarez, an older woman who barely spoke English. Emma fetched her tea, sat with her, even walked her to the subway. Asterisk what she didn't realize was that David saw it all. Asterisk asterisk the next morning, Emma was summoned to the executive boardroom. Her hands shook as she stepped inside. To her surprise, the room was filled not just with executives, but with HR, outreach leaders, and even Mrs. Alvarez, standing nervously at the back. Asterisk David stood at the head of the table. Asterisk Emma Carter, he said, voice warm, proud. You thought no one noticed you, but we've been watching closely. And I believe it's time you learned the truth about why you're really here. Emma froze. What do you mean? She whispered. Asterisk David looked around the room, then back at her. Asterisk because this internship was never just about coffee runs. Emma Carter, a shy, hardworking intern, accidentally sat at the VIP table on her first day and unknowingly gossiped about the CEO, David Stratton, to David himself. Asterisk instead of being offended, David quietly observed her. Moved by her honesty, humility, and unnoticed kindness, like helping an elderly janitor, he invited her into higher-level meetings and asked her to contribute to a mentorship project close to both their hearts. Asterisk now, she's been called to the executive boardroom where she's about to learn the truth behind her unexpected internship. Asterisk asterisk the room was silent. Every executive watched Emma, as if she were a keynote speaker instead of a trembling intern in $20 shoes. Asterisk David stood at the head of the long glass table, calm and collected. Asterisk you weren't selected randomly, he said. A few months ago, we launched a discrete program. Not to find the smartest, not the most polished, but the most human. Asterisk he gestured to the HR director. We looked through scholarship applications, hardship essays, real stories, people who overcame. Not just grades, but life. He turned to Emma. In your story, Ematha, way you got into college, took night shifts, cared for your little brother while your mom battled illness. That's the kind of grit you can't teach in a business class. Asterisk Emma's eyes brimmed with tears. Asterisk you read that? She whispered. Asterisk David nodded. It moved me. Asterisk asterisk David paced slowly. Asterisk this company was built on strategy, profit, precision, but it's time we built something more. Legacy. And legacy doesn't start with balance sheets. It starts with people. He handed Emma a folder. Inside was a project proposal with her name at the top. Asterisk Bridge, a mentorship program for underserved youth. Her jaw dropped. I thought this was your idea. Asterisk it was. But it's your voice it needs. Asterisk he looked around the room. I want Emma to co-lead this with me. As of today, she's no longer just an intern. Asterisk someone gasped. A few applauded. Emma stood frozen. Asterisk why me? She asked, voice cracking. Asterisk David smiled. Because you spoke the truth when others stayed silent. You showed kindness when no one was watching. And because you saw a janitor when most would walk by. Asterisk later that day, David invited Emma to his office, the one she'd only dared glance at from afar. Asterisk it wasn't grand. In fact, it was surprisingly simple. A few awards, a photo of his late mother, and a worn-out leather chair that looked like it had seen 3 decades of decisions. Asterisk he poured them both tea and leaned back. Asterisk I grew up with nothing to, he said softly. Single mom, immigrant household. I started this company from a 1-bedroom apartment with second-hand furniture and overdue bills. Emma listened, stunned, but somewhere along the way, he continued. I lost touch. I stopped seeing the Emmas. I saw resumes, not resilience. You changed that. Asterisk he paused. Asterisk thank you. Asterisk Emma was speechless. She never imagined her quiet acts could echo so far. Asterisk weeks passed. Emma worked closely with David and his executive team. The mentorship program began taking form. They partnered with high schools, community centers, and universities. Asterisk but one day, a senior VPA man with an impressive MBA but a dismissive attitude snapped at a janitor in the lobby, yelled at her for accidentally blocking the elevator. Asterisk Emma saw it happen. Asterisk everyone else averted their eyes. Asterisk she hesitated, then stepped forward. Asterisk sir, she said firmly, that's not how we treat people here. Asterisk the VP scoffed. You're just an intern. Not anymore. David's voice cut through the air as he appeared behind her. She's part of leadership now, and you might want to reconsider your tone. Asterisk the VP turned pale. Asterisk